Hello everyone, in this video we'll see how we can alert the user or give a message to the user whenever a workbook is being saved. For example, in this workbook I have a sheet here. Now whenever the user is saving this particular workbook, I want to give a message to them regarding some random link or some random message. Now, in your project, you might want to give them an instruction to do what they should do after saving, or you want to give them a link to go to after saving. Now, it can all vary from one project to another. The main focus here is that how we can give them a message whenever they are saving the workbook. For this, we'll be using the Visual Basic for Application or the VBA property. Now, in your Excel window, there is something called a developer tab here. If you can't find developer tab in your Excel, you can go to any other tab and right click anywhere on the ribbon. When I right click, I'll get a menu which has an option called customize the ribbon. Let me click on customize the ribbon and a menu will open up. In the right side of the menu, you can see many options here. In that, there is something called developer. If the developer option is unchecked for you like this, then go and check it. And then you can click on OK. Now you can see a tab called developer tab. Let's click on the developer tab here. And in the code section, there is something called Visual Basic. Now you can double click on Visual Basic here, or you can use Alt plus F11 to navigate to and back to the Visual Basic editor window. Let me click on Alt plus F11. Now, this is your Visual Basic for applications. You can write your code inside sheet place, or you can write it inside the workbook place, or you can even insert a new module to write your code. In this particular project, we want the code to impact whenever the workbook is being saved. So the workbook is an object which is being highly prioritized here. So let's go to the workbook, double click on it and write the code inside the workbook. So here, let's start writing the code. The code is very simple, that it should show a message box saying some random message. But when should it show the message? Whenever the workbook is being saved. For that, on the top bar here you can see something called General. Let's click on the arrow at the end of that field and we can select workbook from there. I'll click on workbook and workbook is selected. As you can see, the Excel has already inserted something called private sub workbook open and sub. Now, this particular code will impact your workbook whenever it is being opened. So if you want a message to be shown whenever your workbook is opened, you can write the code inside this part. Now, we are not writing a project, or we are not writing a code to impact whenever the workbook is being opened. We want it to change whenever the workbook is being saved. For that, let's go to this part. Remember, it is still workbook here, and let's go to the right side of the bar and it is written as open. Let's click on the arrow at the end of that field and a huge menu will appear before you. So let's select save from this option. As you can see, there are many options here, and now let's go and select after save, which means that after the workbook has been saved, this code will impact the workbook. Let's click there. So a new code line has been inserted automatically, that is private sub workbook after save, and arguments are also declared. So we do not have to be bothered about the arguments or any of these things. Let's write our code inside this portion. So in between the private sub and the end sub, we'll write our code. The code is very simple. In this code, we'll be talking about message box. I have already uploaded a very in-depth video about message box. I'll put the link in the description, and you can also click on the information link on top of this video. Now I'll write message box and put a space here, and let's put double quotes, and inside double quotes we can write our message. The message is this workbook has been saved. Kindly subscribe to this channel. Okay, this is the message that I want to show the users. You can put any message you want to give to the users in between these two chords. Now, the thing is done. Let's save this workbook. While you save the workbook, you can save it in the worksheet or in this part itself. You can go to this area, save book, and click here, and it will open your folders. Now, you can just put some name for your thing. Let's say save this here. This is a workbook name. You can put anything here, but save as type. Whenever you are saving a macro or a code enabled workbook, you should select it as Excel macro enabled workbook. Otherwise, none of the code will work for your Excel file. Now let's click on save here, and it is getting saved. Now as you can see, once it was saved, it is showing the message which we wanted it to show. This workbook has been saved. Kindly subscribe to this channel. I clicked OK. Now that was the first time we saved, right? Let's go back to the worksheet now. Remember, this workbook has been saved just now. Let's write here something, and now I want to save it again. So I can go to file and then click on save here, or else I can use the shortcut key Ctrl+S. So I'm pressing Ctrl+S. See, the file has been saved, and now it is showing this workbook has been saved. Kindly subscribe to this channel. That is a message which we wanted to show to the users. Let's click OK, and now I'll click again, and again it is showing the message. Let's click OK. Let's go to file and save this file as something else. So let's click on save as, and then select a place for saving this. Let's click on browse, and here I'll give another name. This is second name. Then I'll save it as Excel macro enabled workbook only, and I'll save this. And now again it is showing this workbook has been saved. Kindly subscribe to this channel. So whenever you're saving this workbook, the Excel macro will show you this alert or the message. This is how you can input or insert a message box to the users whenever there is the user is saving the file. I have uploaded many other videos about VBA and functions and many other tricks and tips of Excel in this channel. Please take a look at those.